Welcome back to MMA Sucka Fight fans. My name is Nate Freeman. I'm joined today by Dominic Ahnee, who is fighting September 3rd at BKFC Thailand 3. Dominic, how you doing today?
Alive and blessed, my man. Aloha from Chalong, aka Sotai Road in Phuket, Thailand.
And we're happy to have you. So you're fighting Chaloemporn Sawatsuk in one of the feature fights for BKFC Thailand 3. Talk to me first and foremost about how the opportunity came about for you to fight for BKFC Thailand, because based off of what I've seen, it's been a while since you fought. So how did you get back into? How did you? I guess how did you get back in? Excuse me. What made you want to get back into fighting, and why specifically BKFC Thailand?
So I was in Dubai. I'm assistant fire chief. I was in the Air Force. Um, I'm a contractor now. Been retired for a couple years, just chilling. I was in Dubai, enjoying the summer early, and then my boy Steve Panda Banks. 10, 12, I don't know, many years ago, me and him fought Vale Tudo in Brazil, in Manaus, USA versus Brazil. He hit me up. He's like, hey, you're in Dubai, swing through. Come check me out. I'm fighting BKFC Pattaya. I said, say less. I'll be there. I said, since I'm rolling through, hit the promoter up. You know, your boy's always down to bang it out. Might as well get a 2-for-1, show coming down, rekindle it up, see what we're doing, and then get paid for it. So he's like, yeah, I got you. He pulled up, talked to John and Nick, and I guess one of the light heavyweights bout fell out. And he's like, your guy will fight him? He's like, yeah. He's like, he doesn't care the weight. He's old school like me. Just tell him how much you're going to pay him, and he'll be here tomorrow. So I pulled up. I guess the guy didn't want to fight me. He said he wanted to fight me on the next show at 84 kilos. He wanted to lose some weight. So I said, all right. But I guess John and Nick was stoked that I just pulled up on scene and didn't ask any questions, just told me, pay me. And he was happy with that. So he said he'll get me on the next card. Cornered Panda Banks for that one. He came through, got dropped the first two times in the first round, and he dug deep and knocked him out in the second round. And that was it. That was enough for me to be like, all right, Panda's still doing it. We've been doing it, for a long time. I took a break. I went back to contract firefighting. Like my boy Kevin Ross said, if you want to be a champion, you can't have a plan B. And with my fire background as assistant fire chief, I had a plan B. So while my other dudes were sleeping in the gym, grinding it out, hustling to be that champion, I after my Brazil fight, I broke my rib, broke my hand, broke my nose. I was working in a strip club in Vegas, and I was like, all my friends were in Afghanistan making high six figures, 150, 200,000, and I was making five grand tops, 3-month training camps with sponsorship. So it's kind of tough, to look back and be like, what do you do? You know what I mean? Do you push it and go with the dream, or do you go with the money, So Panda invited me down. He's like, hey, come through Phuket. We got a good team out there. I got to have a few drinks and some dinner with his the top team head coach, Nung, A1. We had a good time. We clicked. And I was like, man, I'm old. He goes, I'm just as old as you, but you took a break. So you rested your head, you rested your hand, you rested everything else. And now it's not for money. You're retired. It's pretty much passion. So I was like, all right, I'll come down. I'll give you 1 month. So I knocked it out two a days in Thailand. You know how gruesome that is. So I did 2 hours, 2 a days back to back for 1 month straight. And then that was it. The bug came back, and they looked at me and was like, no one here thinks I'm over 30. So that helped, and then that was it after that. So definitely got blessed on that.
Man, yeah, that's exciting. Shout out to Panda Banks. I talked with him. He is just such an interesting character, and he's fighting on this card as well. He's got another fight coming up on the card, so that's great. And I just saw he shared his what he's going to be wearing, and
Oh yeah,
it looks so sick.
yeah. I gotta go and go grab my gear now because the last fight we did it. Like he said, we're old school, so I used to fight in surf shorts. I'm from Hawaii, so we didn't have no money growing up. They're like, oh, you got this and that. Like, fuck, I got surf shorts. That's what I'm rocking. And then the sponsor would pay to sew whatever else, or your sister or somebody would sew shit on. Now, different game. When he showed it to me yesterday, I was like, yeah, I got to step mine up. So I'm gonna go stop by their shop and go put something in nice right there. I had a couple different ideas, but I think I got something that'll be comparable for him and the show for BKFC 3 in Thailand for Bangkok for to finish up the last finishing touches for that.
Man, yeah, in Bangkok at Rajadamnern Stadium, one of the biggest and most well-known stadiums in combat sports, let alone in Thailand. How's it feel to be competing at such a world-famous stadium?
Man, I don't know if you can see it, but this is called chicken skin in Hawaii. But I got chicken skin by you just saying it. One, it's that, and Panda reminds me of that every day because, I just pull up and I got that. Me and him did a show. I don't know if you know John Nutt, but we did a birthday bash for John Nutt. They asked me and Panda to do a 2-versus-2. So it was me, this other Thai heavyweight, and then I was versus Panda and another Thai heavyweight. They tied us together, Siamese boxing. You could YouTube it. It was a good time and a good show. And me and Panda put it on. So from then, everybody else here in Thailand was, talking about, who, what, where this dude came from, how he's linked up with Panda. And now we're here, you know what I mean? And fast forward, this will be our third card, our third fight with me and him on it, and fireworks, you know what I mean? Someone's getting knocked out. It's going to be a show. We're going to look cute, flashy, fresh. So you're going to get the total package, you know, that you paid for. And that's the beauty of that. But I also get to be on undercard on my favorite Thai fighter, Balkal's a beast. I can't wait to meet the guy and fight the undercard for him, you know what I mean? So I can't even tell you, a dream come true. I was blessed to be on the card with Sanchai as a special guest. Like I told you, our boy Kevin Ross, he was blessed to get to fight him. So full circle, in the fight game, 20 plus years later, couldn't imagine it going down any other way. So super stoked, super excited. Definitely blessed for this huge opportunity.
Absolutely. So talk to me. I know that with a lot of TIE fighters, it's hard to find footage and really kind of hard to know what exactly you're getting yourself into sometimes. But to my knowledge, with Chaloemporn, he fought on a top rank card at some point. He comes in as a boxer. So what do you know about him as an opponent, and what are you working on to, you know, go into the fight planning to win? Like, what are you planning on?
Fuck off. Honestly, bro, I didn't watch the guy's fights. I did watch his movie with my girl a week or two ago just to say I got to see the famous Thai celebrity that, did the prayer with the dawn, prayer before the dawn. So I did watch his movie. I did not watch any of his fights. I never watch any of my opponent's shit. I trust my chin, my right hand, my heart, and that's all I need. You know what I mean? I don't give a shit what the guy does or doesn't do because I'm there to knock his head off. There's nothing really that is going to stop me from doing that. So, and like I told you, I'm born and raised in the islands. We're bred to do this. I fought my brothers for food for free for this, and they're a lot bigger than him, hit a lot harder than him, and I did this shit for free. So you're going to pay me money, let me wild out in Bangkok on the undercard of Bakal on BKFC's biggest show ever, probably biggest Asia show in a while since probably Pride days. You couldn't ask for anything more. You know what I mean? I don't care who you put in front of me, And I've been in Thailand back and forth for the last 15 years. I respect Muay Thai. I love Muay Thai as an art, but I don't see anybody from Hawaii that doesn't have better hands. Tell me any UFC fighter, any boxer, any MMA fighter that couldn't stand and bang with any Thai guy in boxing, bare knuckle. Tell me who you put your money on with whoever you had in your handful of people. You know what I mean? 10 out of 10.
Yeah, because I mean, Thai fighters with Muay Thai, it's called the art of 8 limbs, so they're using more than just their fists.
They're
So
heavy. They don't get scoring points on hands, you know what I mean, unless you knock them out. And the guys that knock them out move to boxing, and that's my boxing coach, Ole Dung, WBC boxing champ. That's my boxing coach, and I got Nung A1 from Top Team. So I got two of the baddest dudes that I got to need from a stand-up. And this is the first time I came to practice yesterday. Pounders like, how you feeling? I'm like, old and broken. He goes, well, I said, this is the longest camp that I had. He goes, well, that's the only camp that you technically trained for. I was like, true. So I'm excited because, you know, back in the day, all we did was spar. There was no, you know, fight intelligence on rest, sparring, breaking up training, any of that shit. When we were fighting, it wasn't cool. There wasn't social media. You know what I mean? We were getting paid peanuts, and I was fighting anybody from 150 to 205 within a month time frame. You know, so hence my record is my losses are all from decisions because of obviously training and cardio, the BJ Penn mentality where you ain't gonna knock my ass out, you ain't gonna tap me out. So fuck it, let's see what we can do. You know what I mean? Let's scrap. And then it was time for me to get out of the sport when it turned into a sport and not fighters. You know what I mean? It was like there were fit cross dudes. You know what I mean? Just out cardioing guys and just laying and praying on them. You know what I mean? And not scrapping. You know, so BKFC allows scrappers back in the sport. It allows entertainment back in the sport like Asia and Japan does. You know what I mean? They don't want to watch no boring stuff. You're here to see someone bleed and die. You know what I mean? That's what you're paid to do. So you don't want to see anybody outpoint anybody else. You want to see somebody just get beat the hell out, and then whoever wins, you don't even give a shit because you got a show.
yeah, most BKFC shows, there's maybe like 1 or 2 decisions on a 12 fight card. Like there is almost guaranteed to be a finish in almost every fight. And that's what makes the sport so exciting. And, you know, I saw your fighter registration page that you sent in to BKFC Thailand, and that you said that you won multiple Chin of the Night trophies. That just so that was something I found very funny. And that was something that I think goes to say something about your fighting style as well. That not necessarily that you get punched a lot, and that but when your chin does get tested, that you're still going to be there.
Yeah, the thing about that is that like from Hawaii, it's a weird thing, right? Like you feel, I always say like as a joke, like when you punch me in the face, I get horny, right? But in Hawaii, it's like it's a respect thing. Like if you punch me in the face with all your shit, and I still come forward, and that look you give me, I take your soul. When you hit me your hardest, and I keep coming, there ain't shit else you can do. You know what I mean? You can't go call your dad. You can't bring a kitchen sink. You can't bring a bat. The shit, you already did your best. So now it's my turn. You know what I mean? And that's why you see most Hawaii guys, they don't mind getting busted up because that's what we feel like we got to do. You know what I mean? Like I don't ever feel like I earned my check if I just come in. I've knocked the dude Matt Gonzo out in like 20 seconds and probably hit him with like 30 shots after he was out cold. It was a personal match, that only one that I had that was real personal. But even when I didn't have to redo my hair to hit the club, I didn't feel like I got, you know, what I'm supposed to get, you know, because now I got to go to the club and everyone doesn't even know what hell I fought, you know. So for us, it's just a culture thing. And then I always had that with my jiu-jitsu coach, you know, Luis Hirudi Lamau. It's Hickson Gracie's best friend that moved to LA with them when they were kids. You know, he'd be like, Dominic, can you please not block punches with your face, you know? And then my boxing coach is like, yeah, but he could actually take a punch. So so yeah, the fans would definitely win that one, and a big good time. I've heard that. I never heard his name before. You just said his name. I just know his nickname, and I guess that means heavily tattooed in Thai. So um, he looks like he's a good game opponent for that. You know, he looks like he's gonna come out, he's gonna bang it out, he's gonna have a good time, he's gonna laugh, smile. You know what I mean? He's gonna put on a show. You know what I mean? I didn't want anything less than that. You know.
Yeah, that's what the fans want too. That's just one of the most that's what the fans want to hear. They want somebody that's going to stand and bang,
Yeah.
especially in BKFC. Yeah. So moving on, you sort of mentioned some of the things that you already that you have done in the past. You are somewhat of a renaissance man from when I did some research on you. You know, travel the world, but that part of that is with your contract job being a assistant fire chief. You got into the Air Force. And first of all, what made you decide to enroll in the Air Force? And then, moreover, you worked with as a firefighter in the Air Force. What made you
Yeah.
specifically go into that once you got into the Air Force?
Two things. So my dad was a dope boy gangster. Just got out of prison a couple years ago. We had no money, single mom, and she said, "We ain't got no money. Horrible at school. You don't ever go to school. You're just hustling and doing bad shit. So you got two choices. You either be a good and better drug dealer than your dad, or you join the military. But you can't do both." At that time, my dad was locked up. My mom got into a relationship with a fire captain from Hawaii. Um, my sister and his daughter was in preschool together, and within a year or two, we finally moved in and joined families. And then I looked at this guy and I was like, damn, how did this guy afford all of this stuff? You know what I mean? And then the lifestyle changed. You know, I was already graduating. It was my senior year, so I didn't really get to see it, but I did see the difference in lifestyle and quality. So I started picking this dude's brain as I do my whole life. Is, you know, if I want something or something intrigues me, then I'm going to ask how and what they did to get it. And then I'm going to go get that shit myself. So he's like, I joined the Air Force. I was a firefighter. And I was like, fuck, you can be a fireman in the Air Force? And everyone knows in Hawaii, firefighters the top of the top line for best job. You know what I mean? They pay you to eat, work out, and chill. You know what I mean? When shit happens, you go, and no one does not dislike a fireman. Unlike cops, it's 50-50. I got cop family, friends, but no one ever has anything bad to say about a fireman unless it's a cop, because a cop became a cop
Yeah,
because
there's a bit of a rivalry there. Yeah.
yeah. So I always have a joke. I'm like, why did baby Jesus make firemen? And it's so policemen would have heroes. So they'll love down. But yeah, so that was it. Joined the Air Force. Best decision of my life. Couldn't be here today. Did 7 years in Afghanistan as a contractor. Was assistant fire chief at the biggest war base in the world, Bagram Air Force Base, Bath. And that was it after that. I always kept in contact with Kevin Ross, Panda Banks, our boy Tamar Washington, Tebow, Neeson Oceanic, UFC vet, WC vet. And you always ask yourself, right? If I went down A, what would have happened? If I went down B, what would have happened? And then I stay in contact with all my military friends that did 20 years straight military, and then me that jumped over contracting. And all of them have the same answer. They're all living their life vicariously through me. And you know what I mean? I'm happy. I just do what makes me happy every day. And fuck, I'm definitely alive and blessed. You know what I mean? So, and then I try to bless up and share that travel and journey from little island boy, you know, with a single mom and, you know, a dad locked up. And now I'm here in Thailand, you know, about to fight in the biggest card at 42 years damn old. That's, you know, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a reason that they call you, or you call yourself at least, Mr. International. play with a passport.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that wasn't for me. Everybody that has a cool nickname gave themselves a nickname. That was from Kavika Vika. He's the number one radio DJ in Maui, and also a ring announcer for all the MMA fights, mostly out there. Every time I was traveling military and contract, he would, when we had MySpace, that's how old this shit is,
Man.
he would and be like, "Hey, what's up, Dom? Where you at?" And I would always answer him in whatever country language I was in. I came back home, ran through the circuit in Hawaii, fought everybody once or twice back to back, and he came up with it. You know, he pulled me in the studio, and he's like, he knew I was a big Tupac fan. You know, Hawaii's big West Coast Tupac fan, Raider Nation, and all that good stuff. And yeah, he gave me that name, and I was like, bro, I cannot have that name. He's like, you don't get to choose it. And then everybody in Hawaii just like, so over the years, I've collected a bunch of nicknames. It depends on who you ask, and then that's how I can tell when they knew me in my life. Panda Banks will call me Polynesian Ken Doll. They'll call me Baby Hair. This before the locks and dreads. Um, Baby Hazels, they'll call me all kind of stuff. My nieces and nephews, everybody in Hawaii call me Uncle Maui. So there's a whole bunch of shit that you can use that all sound ridiculous, but that's just what you get, right? When you fight, they give you goofy names. Only I think my boy Kevin Ross, he had the Soul Assassin. Panda Banks got his name, you know, in China, and it fits him and it suits him. So I mean, I guess not all of us can have cool names, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's
Which
how that.
one out of all of those that you said, and I guess if there's more, which one of those is your favorite?
Well, Uncle Maui's is a close one because my nieces and nephews, you know what I mean. They don't know anything
I
about it.
assume I assume that's a Moana thing.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, when you see my girl, she's Fijian and she looks like Moana. So you'll put that together. It's pretty funny. I mean, and everywhere else you go, it's a universal thing, right? And it's a beautiful thing that The Rock put together. I'm not The Rock, it's my uncle, but the pebbles right here. You know what I mean? You still get hit with a bag of pebbles. But I think that one's good. And then everybody, you know, Panda, Nissan Oceanic, you know, Tebow, Kevin Roth, they're Polynesian Ken Doll. When I was fighting in Brazil, I had like a side comb, you know, like a fufu side comb, pretty boy haircut. And they love that because it totally contradicts everything that I am and what you see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's funny. So you have traveled all over the world. You mentioned that you were in Afghanistan for a while. Part of your contract work, you were in Romania at some point. You know, you were
Yeah.
traveling all over the world. Where are and obviously you're in Thailand now. Where are some of your favorite places that you have traveled, or maybe some favorite specific like spots at places? Like I don't know if you went to like if you saw a stadium show in Thailand or something like that, obviously that or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
My blessing's been good. Like as you said, I've lived in 12 countries and I've been to almost 100. But my favorite outside of Hawaii, obviously I'm biased, you know, outside of the US would probably be Brazil and South America. Brazil just reminds me of home. They treat me like I'm Brazilian. Like I could pass for Brazilian till I talk, but I love Brazil because it's like Hawaii, family values, you know, the beach, they surf and fight, they scrap every day. It's a little more dangerous than Hawaii, so you kind of gotta stay on your shit. You know, I got some crazy stories for that, maybe on another podcast or something. But you know, especially when I went down there with Helsing Gracie and Team USA, I actually stood down there after because I couldn't work or fight anyway. So I stood down there the extra 3 months on my work visa. I was almost there 6 months. And yeah, I think South America is usually like my jam. You know what I mean? If it's not in the islands, Vegas or Miami, obviously, but they have good culture, good food. You know what I mean? Family values. You know what I mean? And you can't really be in a place, Thailand for Asia, unless they have a scrappy culture, because no one will ever understand what the hell you do. You know what I mean? 1% thinks you're crazy. You know what I mean? But if you're in those locations, then you're normal, right? And no one really wants to be normal. I know I don't, but sometimes it feels good to not be stared at. You know what I mean? For other than nostalgic of them not seeing something walking around like this in their culture that they've never seen besides on TV.
Yeah, my friends and family think I'm crazy even for watching and covering it. So I can't imagine what what fighters go through. I know in Hawaii that's more of an accepted thing, but
Yeah,
here
it's
in,
normal.
here in Birmingham, Alabama, that's not necessarily it's not made it to the mainstream yet as much, I guess.
When I went to Coleman, and you think this is funny, but I got my skydive license, my B license in Coleman at Skydive, Alabama. So right up the road from you guys. When I told them
Yeah.
the skydivers thought I was crazy, and that's what this is for right here. After I got my 100 jump, this is my closing pin. But yeah, crazy story. And I'm actually coming down that side, so maybe we can meet up and do a regular one when I come back on the follow-up. I'll be down in Orange Beach, Alabama for my master's degree, emergency management graduation ceremony. I'll be down there October 21st. So I actually have to fly into Mobile or Birmingham.
Nice.
So we'll keep in contact and we'll do a follow-up on everything else.
Yeah, that sounds good. We'll stay in touch. Before that, though, I want to give you the floor really quick to shout out any sponsors, any, if people can follow you on social media, how can they do that? How can people keep in contact and know what you're up to?
At Dubai.com. The city and country Dubai, and then Dom, DOM. FamilyRich.com. That's my company that we give back. Lifestyle apparel and clothing company. Fairtex, Nick Chapman, John, Padna Banks, of course. We got Float Tank Indigo over here. That's one of my sponsors. We do twice a week over here. I do the Float Tank. And then we got Top Team, Phuket Top Team. All the trainers out there, Ole Dung Gym, the WBC champ. And then all the fans and family that's always supported me and been with my crazy ass. They always ask me when's enough or all of those questions. I'm like, my limitations on your perception is not my business. If I could throw a right hand and I could take a right hand, we might as well just rock it out, and see where we go from here. So, but BKFC, Thailand, and USA, obviously, me and Panda Banks always chop it up, and I always tell them, bro, we're 3 to 5 fights away from changing shit. You knock out 3 dudes in Thailand, get that belt. It's so new and so fresh. They got to send us to the States. You know what I mean? They got to put us on a stateside contract. They got to send us to London and just unify all of that shit. You know what I mean? So I can't wait. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's 3 rounds away from life-changing. Not that the blessings hasn't been here the whole time, but feel like this is a moment. Our homegirls on the card too, and this is probably the first time they got 2 Polynesian people on the same card. But Ty Emery, she's a beast. She's on it. We're super stoked. We're on the same soy, same people, the same energies rolling through. So it's gonna be a banger. You know what I mean? Because you got me, Panda, and Ty. You already got a show right there. Not even to mention the other people on the card that you got on there. It's going to be amazing. Tune in if you haven't got the app, BKFC app. Lock that in, and we'll see you September 3rd.
Absolutely, man. This has been Dominic Ahnee fighting September 3rd at BKFC Thailand 3, on September 3rd. Thank you so much for your time. Mahalo, and best of luck in your fight.
All right, bro. Aloha. Keep in touch. Take care.
All right, man. Sounds good.